I think I knew that this relationship was different than other relationships. I think Kevin and Claire are the most well-suited couple. They're like two peas in a pod. I was out shopping for a wedding dress. So Kevin was at work. He works as a fitness instructor, and I phoned him and said, I'm with my mum, you know, looking at a wedding dress, and he said to the receptionist, didn't you? Claire and I had a chat in the bath 2 days ago. She's out looking for a wedding dress. Does this mean I'm engaged?
I think my first words to Claire were probably on the wavelength of, would you like a drink? Because that always works.
We first met in the Bot, which is a student club, which is a bit embarrassing really, because you want to say we met through a friend of a friend. And I think when we first met Kevin's parents and they said, how did you meet? We said, oh, we met through a friend of a friend. But the truth is out, we met in a student club.
I was first attracted to Claire at the nightclub when she came over and started talking to me. I
saw Kevin actually very early on in the evening, and it was very physical for me. He was wearing a very tan, and he had a white shirt on, and I spotted him early on in the evening. But what really attracted me to him was there was a real cheesy song on the dance floor. Can't remember what it was now, but Kevin was really dancing like this song was the best song in the world, and I thought, this is great. Here's a guy who's very attractive but doesn't mind making an absolute fool of himself to a cheesy song. And I think at that point I made an excuse to speak to him. I think I said a remark and I made a comment about his dancing. Like, I can't believe you're dancing to this tune. That was my first comment to Kevin.
And I really like people, you know, to be quite open, as I'm quite open, to come over, you know, and just talking. And again, just the fact that she had good communication skills to have a conversation. And
I was looking quite good as well.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say that to build her ego too much. Before I met Claire, I'd obviously spent a few years in the army, going to different places. I was stationed in Germany, from Germany, you know, Canada, Poland, Iraq, Kosovo, you know, I'd been kind of a few different places. And I transferred to the military police, which led me to Northern Ireland as a 2-year posting, which is where I first met Claire. And it was kind of comfortable in the fact that I was here for 2 years stationed and I wasn't being sent anywhere else, so that gave us a time really to sort of get to know each other, rather than I'm here for a few weeks, then I'm off somewhere else.
But at the start we did only see each other once every couple of weeks, and we had been going out for about a year. Kind of, we'd been meeting up every so often, going out, having a drink, so we'd had really casual dates, but the first proper date was
I'd been a night I asked you to the egg.
Yeah, and I just realised how sweet Kevin was, because before then I'd been out with guys before and I kept thinking, why did I not, there's no spark here, and the only spark I ever had was with that guy from the army. And we'd be meeting up casually, and then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna kind of give this a shot and see how it goes. So Kevin asked me out for a drink.
And I think that was probably our first time that we really actually started speaking properly and realised there was a lot more to each other.
My friends get on really well with Kevin. I would go so far as to say that some of my friends I would now consider mutual friends.
I first met Kevin about 4 years ago. We were all having a night out. It was when we were all at university. You know, he was out with all his friends from the army and stuff like that, and they were all just completely mad seeing Kevin gyrating up and down on the dance floor, and he just seemed really, really good fun, and Seemed a good match for Claire, but just didn't really think they would be here getting married and stuff like that. But yeah, he seemed like a really lovely fella.
I first met Kevin, I think it was about 4 years ago, and it was the New Year's Eve party, and Claire and I had both been out and met our new boyfriends and met up afterwards, and it was quite fun. There was a lot of dancing and drinking on and a lot of partying, so we got to know each other quite well the first night. My first impressions of Kevin were that he was very lively, very outgoing, really friendly guy, and very well suited to Claire.
One of my friends, who's one of my closest friends, Mark, he's a really cool guy, and he came over. He was the groomsman at the wedding, and I was a bit apprehensive because he didn't know any of Kevin's friends, or he lives in London, and he came over and they went out to a nightclub, the Kremlin, a gay nightclub. Mark's gay, and he sent me a text at 3 in the morning, you know, saying this was one of the best nights ever. They all got really drunk, and they all even made a pact to wear their green Kremlin armbands on the day of the wedding. So in some of our wedding photos, there's some stunning shots of Kevin and I on the beach and a green armband. But he gets on really well with them. They consider us mutual friends. So because we've kind of built our life here now, and it's like when they come to see Kevin and Claire. They don't just come to see Claire anymore, so they got on really well.
I did think at the time Kevin was the one. Probably not, but although they did sort of, you know, really hit it off, and I thought they were a great couple, I just think that, you know, Claire and I weren't at that sort of stage in our lives because we came through sort of everything, and it just seemed, you know, we were quite young then. It was quite a while ago.
I thought about this a few times. I don't think there was any instant Claire is definitely the one for me. I said before that you grow to love someone very much, and I think, you know, by starting out as friends and then becoming good friends and then taking it a level further, really changes other than that first attraction, and you stick with them, because a lot fizzle out quite quickly. But this, I think we've actually really worked on it a lot more, and we've got to know each other a hell of a lot.
The first time I met Kevin, I didn't think he was going to be the one for Claire, because I didn't think anyone would be the one for Claire. She was very high maintenance and still is, I think.
I was possibly hoping at that point he would be the one, because I could see how well they did get on together and how well suited they were to each other.
I think I knew that this relationship was different than other relationships, and it was loads of little silly things along the way, and I kept thinking, we're really good friends, you know, and even little small commitments you make, like opening up a joint bank account, you know, even silly things like, here's my debit card, you know, can you get £10 out, even though you should never give anyone your PIN number. I'm totally not advocating that at all. But silly things like that, you know, would happen, and you'd think, actually, there's something about this that's different. So for me, it was that more than he's the one.
And then she wouldn't let go.
I think Kevin and Claire are the most well-suited couple. They're like two peas in a pod. They're just great together, and they bring out the best in each other. They're a really fun couple.
Claire and I have got a lot of similarities. We are, you know, a lot of people have considered us like brother and sister, but
I think they're very well suited for each other. In every way, they're very well suited. They're so alike, personalities, everything about them.
Claire and Kevin are very well suited because, you know, they're sort of very loud personalities, the pair of them. You know, dancing and things like that. They love dancing, and sort of, you know, they're very show-off sometimes. You know, they're just really sort of in your face, and, you know, they're good, both really good conversationists to sit down with, and, you know, just really enjoy their company. They're sort of really fitting into their fitness, and yeah, they just really bounce off each other.
One completely freaky fact that I found out was we actually share the same birthday, which obviously the chances of that are like 1 in a million or so. And
well, they're not really.
Well, I don't know the odds.
Neither do I. Quickly. Yeah, it's pretty freaky and really frustrating, because you want your birthday to be your day. And
now we can't get away from each other.
Yeah, it's like it's her birthday. It's my birthday. No, it's my birthday.
And you're always worried that, you know, creating a party and then she's got a separate party, surprise party or so. It just can't be done.
Yeah.
So although like they do have many similarities and they're so well suited, there's quite a lot of differences sort of between them as well. You know, Claire would be sort of very highly organised, and I mean, she gets highlighters out. She's got a diary that's just scary to me. And you know, Kevin, on the other hand, he would be really sort of chilled out. If he was any more relaxed, he'd be horizontal.
Claire's very stressed most of the time, because you know she's in a very demanding career at the moment that she's trying to sort of get started, and she doesn't like that about me, the fact I can be so calm under pressure.
Well, no, it's not that I don't like it, it's that it irritates me, because I am so... Like Kevin's saying, it's because of her job. It's not really. It's because I'm a stressed person. And I always say, if you put me on a desert island, I would count coconuts. I would find something to organise, coordinate. It's just the way I am. Kevin is the complete opposite of me. If there was an announcement that there was World War III, Kevin would have a cup of tea and a biscuit. But
I think it's good, because Claire sometimes gets a bit manic about things, and Kevin, you know, keeps her calm and chills her out, and I think he has a good effect on her. You know, Daphne, she's chilled out a lot since she's met Kevin, so that's one of the differences I've seen, you know, in their relationship, and even mine and Claire's. She's a lot more relaxed. It's really nice that he relaxes me, and he's still cool, laid back, casual Kev. I call him casual Kev. So even though that's a big difference, for me it's great, because I really need someone like that in my life. And he needs someone, even though he doesn't really listen, to
tell me what to do.
To tell him what to do, yeah.
I'm a very friendly person, and I think the more time I spent with Claire, and you know, we spoke a lot more, I really come to really sort of adore her.
Well, we actually met in the club, and we dated casually for 1 year, because neither of us wanted a relationship at the time. So it was really a very slow beginning. So it was definitely attraction at first sight, but in a way I'm glad now that we weren't interested in a relationship, because that way we took the time to get to know one another really well, and then we kind of thought, hang on a second, you know, we have the perfect formula for a relationship, what are we doing? And then it started from there. So lust at first sight, definitely, but not love. The only thing it really was difficult was every time we wanted to see his family, obviously we would have to fly over, and I think therefore Kevin got to know my family a lot more than I got to know his family.
I first met Claire's parents one evening, I can't really recall.
The first time I met Kevin was when Claire brought him down to our home for dinner. They were probably going out together for about 3 months at that stage.
I was a bit nervous at first, but her mum had a bottle of wine, and me and her would finish this bottle of wine, and then she would bring another bottle of wine. I think I ended up doing about 3 bottles. The
first night he came over, he was totally at ease. I just liked the way he walked in and just slotted right into the family, and just we all got on so well together. I think all you know, barriers were sort of down by the end of it. Probably by me singing Christmas tunes, because it was around Christmas time as well. It
ended up 2 bottles of wine later. I'd gone to bed, I got woken up with Kevin singing, and I got dragged downstairs to sing Last Christmas with Kevin and my mum, and at that point had no concerns about how they would get on. That kind of set the pace for both of them. I first met Kevin's parents when, obviously Kevin's parents live in England, so I had to go over to England, and we were going out about 6 or 7 months, and I went over. And actually the first thing that really struck me about his dad was that he hugged him when we got off the plane, and I thought, oh, what a really lovely, warm family, hugged and kissed him, and that's quite unusual for a guy to do. And they're just really lovely, and as soon as I came to their home, they really welcomed me. They're both really lovely people, and I knew straight away, our families are quite similar, and I knew I was going to get on really well with them, and did ever since. Kevin and I had known each other for 4 years before I told him we were getting married. There was no grand proposal.
I come home from work one evening and she'd told me she'd run the bath, which immediately alarm bells went, because Claire would never really do something like that. And I actually found out it was so that she could keep me in one place long enough to talk to me. And obviously when I went in and she knelt down and sort of told me the way it was going to be.
Yeah, but I didn't propose. I didn't kneel down and propose. I sat down and said... Basically, I told Kevin that there was a 3-year deadline for the proposal. Kind of joking, but when we were on holiday in May, we kind of talked about it and said, you know, what way is the relationship going? Because there comes a time where you have to decide, and we both did agree. Now, Kevin had had a few drinks, but we did agree that we were going to get married at some point, and that's when I came back and told my sister and a couple of other people, oh, we're going to get married at some stage. And Kevin said, look, I'm going to do it my own way in my own time, and the 3-year deadline came and passed. So I knew that my PhD ended in July and that then we would probably be moving away, and I thought if we're going to get married, it strikes me that this summer would be the perfect time. So I just conveyed this to Kevin in the bath and he agreed. You did agree.
Oh, of course I did.
Yeah, he agreed.
I think I was like a natural bloke, you know, the shock of the commitment side of things. But obviously I'm really pleased everything went the way it did.
The way I found out about Claire and Kevin's engagement was a cracker. I was on my computer at work, would maybe talked about engagement and things like that as friends do, but I really didn't think, you know, it was going to happen anytime soon, and found out at work on an email. She kept telling me, I've got a secret, but can you come down to see me? And I couldn't really make it down. She was like, no, you have to tell me what your secret is. And then she just sent me an email saying, oh, I'm engaged. And I basically nearly fell off my seat on the computer.
I was really excited for her, but then really gutted because she's my younger sister getting married before me. But yeah, I was really, really pleased for them, and really apprehensive that she was going to ask me to do bridesmaid because I'm really camera shy and didn't want to, but I changed my mind in the end, so it was all good.
It was such a lovely surprise. You know, although you sort of know that they're going to get engaged, you know, it did come to a certain stage where that was going to happen, and you could tell that they really were such a brilliant match. They complemented each other very well, and I was just so pleased for the two of them. It was just absolutely fantastic.
The next week, in fact I think it was 2 days later if I'm being honest, I was out shopping for a wedding dress. So Kevin was at work, he works as a fitness instructor, and I phoned him and said, I'm with my mum, you know, looking at a wedding dress, and he said to the receptionist, didn't you, Claire and I had a chat in the bath 2 days ago, she's out looking for a wedding dress, does this mean I'm engaged?
I was very happy when I found out about the engagement. I knew they would be so right together. They were the ideal couple together, so I was very happy.
You know, we've shared so many stages of life together, and going through school one day and, you know, on to university, and then on to sort of jobs and looking for jobs, and then, you know, just the engagement is just another one. You know, that was so lovely. And I was just very pleased to be part of it.
Claire phoned me and told me that they got engaged, but I wasn't allowed to tell anyone yet. They hadn't got a ring, but knew they were going to go and look for it, and I think they wanted a ring before they told anyone.
I decided upon a Sophie Tolley dress, and her designs are really known for their comfort. It was quite comical. I was throwing on and throwing off all these dresses, going yes, no, not sure. And a lot of the dresses, not in the wedding box but in other shops, felt like I was wearing a coat of armour ready to go into battle. But there was this one dress and it looked like a ballerina dress. It was very simple and it had just come in. So the owner kept shouting up, have you tried on the Maggie Sotero or the Sophia Tolley? She used to work for Maggie Sotero. Have you tried on the Sophia Tolley dress? And so before she even put the corset up, I just thought, this is my dress, because it was so comfortable. It was just so comfortable. It felt like I was wearing a nightie, and it was so secure. It's all corseted, and I fell in love with the dress.
From the engagement, we got married roughly about 6 months afterwards. We wanted to keep it quite short, rather than, you know, a long drawn-out sort of engagement. I think it's best, you know, you've made a choice and go with it. We actually chose a Crawfordsburn country park because it's such a really nice closed setting to keep everyone together. We had the wedding there and the reception.
This is the first time we've been back since we got married to this location, and it just shows me what a beautiful place it is. Not just that it was beautiful because it was our wedding day, but it is a beautiful location, and it's quite a similar day as well. So people were out eating and drinking, smoking, and we had bubbles blown just out here over us, and we were able to kind of relax. It feels a little bit strange because the last time we were here it was filled with our friends and family, and you kind of feel like you own it a little bit because you own the memory. You feel like this is my, you know, area, and there's a wedding going on right now, and you feel like going and telling them, you know, get out, this is our, you know, this is where we got married, this is our wedding. So it does feel a little bit strange, but it's a good feeling. It's full of good memories. Looking around, you remember certain people sitting certain ways, and it's just, and it brings back feelings of happiness as well. It's nice.
On the morning of the wedding, I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning and come downstairs, and I was just sitting on the couch watching TV with my duvet down. And again, even then, it didn't even hit me what was about to happen. And an hour later, when everyone else was starting to wake up, come down straight away, the tea was on the go.
The wedding day for me was really busy because obviously as being the bride's sister, and I was also the hairdresser, so trying to get everyone ready, and we'd had the floor girl staying with us for a couple of days before. The house was chaotic and there was just people everywhere.
But I was able to have my sister so much in control that although it was chaotic around me, I was able to relax, and for me that was so important. So there was hair clips, there was another hairdresser, there were dresses.
I was actually really anxious on the morning, just wanting everything to go so well for Claire.
I'd been preparing myself because my sister's a hairdresser and she sees a lot of brides come in, and she said that loads of brides come in super stressed and they ruin their whole day. And when I woke up I did feel a bit jittery, and my sister came in with a cup of tea, aromatherapy candles, my self-hypnosis relaxation CD, shut the door and left me there for half an hour, and I got up and skipped down the stairs and was ready for the day. So it was, the atmosphere was great. Everyone was getting their hair done, their makeup done, we had champagne, we had matching pink pyjamas. It was just a really relaxed day, and the wedding day started when I woke up rather than at the altar, so it was, for me, the morning of the wedding was great. My bridesmaids were my sister, who was my chief bridesmaid. She did more than anyone I could have asked for. My second bridesmaid was my cousin Andrea. The reason I chose Andrea is that out of all my cousins, she's the one that stayed in touch with me over the years. She's got a really lovely way about her, and when we were younger I used to bully Andrea, and this was my way of saying sorry to her.
I chose Ben as the best man. I was a little cagey about, because he's a bit of an admin nightmare, that his organisational skills aren't always there as much as what you say they are. They're really not. But he was actually surprisingly brilliant on the day. He was organising so much. He was making me cups of tea, making sure that I was all smart, you know, checking me over. There was fluff also, and it really took me by surprise, and he was an absolutely brilliant choice, and I'm really glad I chose him.
On the wedding day, my main job was to keep Claire calm and to try and take as much away from her, let her enjoy her day. Claire is the most organised person in the world, and I am the opposite, and having the job as chief bridesmaid to somebody so organised is really hard to try and keep a step ahead of her. It was mainly keeping the floor girls, giving them jobs to do, and keeping them out of the way and occupied and stuff.
My main duties on the day, particularly on the morning before we went to the church, were to try and keep the girls calm, try and keep Claire calm, try and keep her sister Lynn calm, and help dress the wee flower girls, just helping out in general. Just anything that could be done was just helping out in general. Just dog's body to everybody.
We thought we had so much more time than we did, so the day started with everyone kind of in their pyjamas, making fruit salad, relaxing, cups of tea, and then towards the end was to the point where I had 4 people working on my hair. My dress was literally shoved on, and we'd estimated about half an hour for that. Tying the corset, and at the end it was like, don't care, just get it on.
When we left the house to go to the church, I travelled in the car with Claire and her father, and she wasn't too bad. She was calm, a little bit anxious, but she wasn't too bad. We were running very late, so I was starting to get a bit panicky about time at that stage.
In fact, we were so rushed that 2 of the floor girls had the wrong dress on. They had each other's, and they only noticed in the limousine because one of them was really tight and the other was really loose. But it was a bit chaotic, to be honest.
I went in the car with the flower girls and the other bridesmaids, and Claire was in the car with her mum and dad.
I wanted all my flower girls to go in the same kind of, I hired a limousine because I thought that'd be great for them all to go in. And then I went in the car with my mum and my dad. Now my dad's usually quite a nervous person, and I thought I'll bring my mum as well because she'll be chatty. And my dad, if I was with my dad, we'd both be, I'm really nervous, I'm really nervous, I'm really nervous, I'm really nervous for an hour. So we had my mother there, but in fact my dad snoozed the whole way there. He was so relaxed, and he said, wake me up when we're nearly there. And I just thought this was hilarious that my dad was so relaxed, he was snoozing.
We had a long journey from Claire's sister's house, so it was lovely. And we're sipping away at champagne, obviously not the flower girls. But it was brilliant at the car. We went in a limo. It was fantastic. The inside of it was lovely.
And my mum kept trying to say things to make me relax, but I was telling her to be quiet because she was saying, is so-and-so coming? And I was like, don't talk about who's going to be there, you know. And she was like, so, you know, what's the reverend's name? Don't talk about the reverend, you know. So she just gave up in the end. But I was really relaxed, but I just didn't want to think that I was walking into a room full of people. And
it was just, you know, everybody's excitement was really high on the way and the journey. But we were also 45 minutes late, thereabouts. And I think our thoughts sort of turned to everybody that was waiting and hoping that Claire hadn't done a runner, basically.
When we arrived at the Crawfordsburn Inn, we were so late, and we practiced for hours walking in to the right time to the harpist, and in the end we got through down the aisle, and I just remember the flower girls getting pushed down and then us going down next, and when we arrived, Kevin was so laughy and jokey, and that only ended when he saw Claire walking down the aisle.
When I first saw Claire when she was coming down the aisle, it was again so surreal. I was just seeing my Claire. She looked absolutely stunning.
I'm sure he filled up, although he'll tell you he didn't, but it was great, and even the groomsmen filled up when they saw Claire, but I was so proud of her just watching her coming down the aisle, and she really took everything in and just enjoyed every minute, and I was so proud just to watch her doing that.
I personally felt it very emotional when she walked up the aisle. I actually filled up at one stage, and I was just so proud of her. It was beautiful, the ceremony was beautiful, everything, the lighting off the candles, everything. It was just a lovely ceremony and a lovely day.
Well, I was very fortunate that I had a friend of the family who is a harpist, and she played Pachelbel and Canon Indy, which is a musical tune that I've loved since I was a little girl, so I really wanted that to be played. And we had a flautist, which was a bit of a surprise, who came just on the day. She thought it would be good to come and play, and she did, and that's the music. It was the harpist and the flautist coming in.
When I first seen Claire with her wedding dress and her veil on and made up, she was outstanding. It made me fill up.
Oh, Claire just looked absolutely beautiful on the day. She just looked fantastic. Her hair was beautiful. Her dress was just out of this world. It was fantastic, and most beautiful figure, not a pick of fat anywhere. So envious about that, but she just looked absolutely amazing. Her dress was just fantastic. Our
vows were personalised. What I mean by personalised is slightly tweaked. Basically, we googled them off the internet, but we kind of merged about 3 or 4 vows together, because obviously they're a lot more poetic on the internet than we could make ourselves. So we kind of, but actually Kevin said, you know, I'm not really good at this sort of thing, can you just choose mine? And I said, okay, I'll choose them and you can have a look over them. So I kind of thought about what Kevin would say.
And I remember being on the phone to Claire, and I mean, Nell said it's this big romantic thing writing the vows, but Claire was on the phone going, what do you think I should put into Kevin's vows? And we were like writing Kevin's vows and stuff. So that was funny to hear them actually say it.
But I also did slip in a line to speak and to listen. And when it came to saying the vows, we kind of giggled a bit, you know, but he did read them and did.
I kept it real.
He kept it real. He liked my choice.
The vows was like a very nice part of the ceremony. You know, they had their own things that they wanted to say to each other, and you know, it was lovely. And you know, I got so tearful so many times. I'm glad I had my wee hanky packed.
They came from the heart. The saying of the vows to each other was a lovely part of the ceremony, because they really meant it.
You could just tell, you know, looking at their faces, the two of them, especially Kevin, you know, he was just totally, you could just tell he was totally in love with her. And, you know, the two of them were just so pleased, and, you know, they really did mean, you know, what they were saying, and they did mean their vows, and I think it was very important to them both. They
were meaningful for me, and I did choose them, or merge them carefully, I should say.
Everyone was real taken aback at how beautiful they were.
The hairs on the back of my neck and my arms just stood up just listening to the two of them, you know, giving their vows to each other, and you know, you could just see the love between the two of them.
The I do's, all I remember is that the kiss lasted far too long, and Kevin kept going in for more, and I just kept thinking, my auntie is here.
I think the minister had to say at one stage that was worth waiting for. I had to stop them.
I remember, I think I actually nearly kicked him, as if to say, I think I said, enough, enough. You know, it was just, but Kevin was so excited, and I was just thinking, my auntie is beside me.
It was lovely. It was just so intimate, and you could just sort of, you know, feel it coming off the two of them, like you really could, the buzz. It was just, you know, that was probably my favourite part of the day.
We don't like to make anyone feel kind of uncomfortable, which is why we kept it a bit different to more traditional weddings with no hymns and things. It was very much everyone's day as well.
We had 2 readings, and it was Kevin's sister and her 3 sons. So she read a passage, and we had the three of Kevin's nephews, Lee, Reese and Joe, each read a sentence or 2, and it's a little story about 2 old people, and they say, is there anything more beautiful than young love? And the answer is yes, old love. You know, people who have spent years together and their hands are clasped, but they're a bit weary, and that was also in keeping with the thing, and it was lovely. They did such a great job. It was lovely to have them as a part of the weddings. Really glad we chose those.
After the ceremony, it was just really nice just to relax and get a chat with everyone. And when we saw Kevin and Claire again, they seemed so relaxed.
The reception was in the same venue, and it was downstairs, and my first reaction when I walked in was, whoa. My friends have worked so hard, because the place was so beautiful. It was almost fairy tale like, and you know, the lanterns, and that was my first impression, was just everyone has worked so hard.
The reception area was lovely. Whenever you went in, there was like a lovely backdrop, and all the tables and lovely things sitting on the tables. The tables were done up really, really well, and the balloons and stuff with the kids. It was really, really nice. The lovely smell of food. It was great.
Yeah, I think the good factor is, rather than, you know, getting external people, you know, to set things up with, if people have, you know, get hands on themselves, they feel like they're really doing something towards something, rather than I feel like a bit of a spare part, and where should I be now? So the little jobs, you know, really help people to relax a lot more as well.
The kids, they were all going about in fancy dress, and everybody was dressed up and really made a big effort for the day. And then, you know, Kevin and Claire came in and, you know, looked really, really well. They looked a lot more relaxed, and I think sitting down, you know, for the first together as husband and wife.
When we first entered the room, everyone was upstanding and started to cheer and clap. And then obviously I just wanted to sort of get to the seat as soon as possible and sort of get back to, you know, relaxing rather than be like, here's me in the spotlight.
It was really nice being beside Kevin and Claire, because normally you're at a wedding and you seem out of the way, but being next to Kevin and Claire was so much fun. And the groomsman actually swapped his place around, so he'd be next to me. He had travelled from London to see Claire, so we had a lot of wine and it was great.
At the speeches, my dad doesn't really like speaking in public, but his speech was absolutely hilarious. My mum and my dad are separated, but my dad kept making loads of jokes to my mum at the other end of the table, saying, you know, I was happy for 20 years until I met Margaret, and she was shouting back at him, and it was just, people were, because usually things like that people are a bit nervous about, but at our wedding it was just so funny. And my dad was making jokes about Kevin's DIY skills, about me with leaving lights on. They were just, all I remember is just laughing the entire way through my dad's speech, and he was great.
Claire's dad's speech really stood out, you know, amongst everybody's. You know, I think he had plenty of advice to give, and it was just full of jokes and really made everybody laugh, and his speech was just fantastic, and I think he really done her proud. Also, Claire actually made a speech herself, which, you know, is just really not a traditional thing at weddings, but I think that really is what Claire, you know, Claire's just like that, you know, she's sort of independent, and I think I would have expected her to say a few words, but unfortunately Claire just can't say a few words, you know, her speech went on for about 15-20 minutes.
The speeches were very good, in particular Claire's. I wasn't expecting Claire to speak, and I think it was a last minute decision, and she got up with a tiny little name place off the table, and we thought it's going to be a very short speech, and it went on for about 5, 6, 7 minutes. We couldn't get her to shut up, but she was very witty, she made everybody laugh, and I would say out of them all, hers was the best speech in the end.
So everyone had like a sheet, and they got up and they read from the sheet. And I didn't have a speech, so just before I got up I scribbled a few notes on my name card. So of course I stood up and said, I don't really have much to say, I've just scribbled a few notes on the back of this, and I was there for about half an hour. And I actually got heckled towards the end. I was saying,
I was heckling.
Yeah, he got a toy gun and put it in his mouth from one of the kids, because they came in fancy dress.
Everyone thought your speech was the best, mainly because we all had sort of scripts, and yours was just a little card that yours was the longest.
And they were heckling me, get off! And I was like, I'm the bride, you can't heckle the bride.
I wrote my speech the night before, actually. I wasn't really sure what I was sort of going to say, because I'm not really generally a very serious person, and I like to keep it in flow with the theme of the wedding, but on the day it kind of went a bit differently, because I was getting heckled myself by Claire.
I kept heckling him.
And stealing the punchlines, and so a lot of it didn't even get sort of.
But it was really funny. It was funny.
Yeah, it was.
But there was
one. Again, we would normally bounce off each other quite a lot as well, and that's just in our nature of rolling with each other.
Yeah, but my sister did elbow me and say, "Shut up, stop heckling," and I thought, "Oh, okay."
Our first dance, when everything was set up, we thought we were going straight into the first dance, which traditionally we did, but we had actually hired a fiddle player, and we didn't know he was actually starting his set straight away. We thought the first dance was going to come on, so we were in the middle of the floor expecting our first dance. It was actually quite a rhythmic fiddle playing, so at which point we just kind of went for it.
The disco, obviously, later on that evening, we got a bit mad, and it was just fantastic.
Totally all inhibitions loose, jumping around. I had his hat on at one point. Kevin had tipped me upside down. You know, we just went crazy, but everyone loved it. And he said, "This is the best first dance." You know, I'm really glad actually that was first, because there was no tension, there was no atmosphere, everyone got involved, and it's very much in keeping with Kevin and I's personalities. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
At night time we just danced the night away. It was so good. Lots more friends and family came in the evening, and it was great, yeah.
Kevin and I never had any expectations. We thought it was really important important to not have any expectations. People put themselves under far too much pressure, and we said this is going to be one of the funnest days of our life, let's make it fun. And that's the only expectation we have. And I think Kevin...
I really didn't know what to expect. I was more paranoid that Claire would enjoy the day, because I know that she puts herself under a lot of pressure, and the fact that she was really calm during the whole day really made it for me, and I can honestly say that was the best day of my life.
The wedding for me was just a fantastic day. It was just brilliant to be a part of it, and being asked to be bridesmaid, you know, it was just, I was so chuffed and really on top of the world, you know, when Claire asked. I think my last recollection of the evening, I was extremely tired after such a long day, you know, just dancing about and, you know, going mad really, and a lot to drink as well. And then sort of sitting up with Claire in the residence bar, my shoes kicked off. It was just, you know, I think we were both just knackered and ready for bed. But, you know, we were just so pleased that the day had gone, you know, so smashingly well. It was just, you know, a brilliant day, and I think it was just couldn't really get over the day we had.
If I had have thought beforehand, this is going to be the best day of my life, I'm not sure whether it would have been, and that's the point for us, was just to keep it fun, and it's going to be a great day no matter what, but to say to yourself it is going to be the best day of your life just puts tremendous pressure on you. So that, for me, that was important.
The day after the wedding was a slow start, because I think it was like 4:30 in the morning before we were all getting to bed. But it was good. We all got up. We were all late for breakfast.
So we had a few bits of toast, which was great. We'd stayed on then the next night in the same place, but there was another wedding on. And so we were staying in the hotel room above where the wedding was taking place. You know, I was being a total bitch basically, because I thought, this is my wedding, what is she doing here? And the next morning they came in and everyone clapped them, you know, saying round the room, and I was just like, I want to go home.
It was a bit sad, because a lot of the other bridal party were leaving to go back to England, and the best man and his girlfriend and one of the groomsmen, and we just, overnight, it seemed we all became really good friends.
You know, it was sort of sad parting from her, you know, and she was going off to her honeymoon, and, you know, everybody was just so pleased and so tired.
Well, our honeymoon took place in Malta, but before we got to our destination there was a bit of a drama. Due to the fact that our flight was cancelled, we ended up spending our first night, we should have been on honeymoon, sleeping on the floor in Dublin Airport on our just married towels. We turned up at Belfast City to get the flight to London, then to Malta. All the flights were cancelled, so we were told the flights are cancelled.
And we had to rebook a whole new flight at Dublin Airport.
And we thought, this is so surreal, everything about the whole day, couple of days being surreal, let's just go with it, let's have fun with it. And we really did see the funny side.
I got a text message saying that she wasn't at her honeymoon, that she was in the airport, and I was just, Claire's not like a very keen traveller, so this was just, oh no, I can't believe this has happened, you know.
But I'll tell you something, I spent a fortune on those just married towels, and I'm really glad I did, because they were really thick and comfy, and they were really expensive, and I thought I made a really good choice here deciding on them. I had a pink one and he had a black one. It's quite nice. We did get there in the end, although it was covered by several newspapers, obviously because it's quite a novel honeymoon experience. But it was, in the end, we got there and we had a glass of champagne upon arrival.
Start as you mean to go on.
Start as you mean to go on, married life on the floor.
I think Claire and Kevin have a great future ahead of them. I can see Claire in her career moving very far, and I can see Kevin doing well, and I think the two of them as a couple have a brilliant future ahead of them. I've no doubts about that.
I've just got a position in Cambridge, which is short term, but we never wanted to stay in Northern Ireland full term. So we have like a 5-year plan and 10-year plan. This is how we kind of agree on our future. It's very difficult to... So the 5-year plan is basically to go to England, stay there, get my career kind of on the ground, get Kevin established.
So going to miss her desperately. You know, just not being able to call in for a cup of tea, I think, you know, I'll miss things like that, or just know she's down the road.
I will find that hard, I know she'll do well, and I'm glad for her, I'm really happy for her. But personally, I will hate to see her going away because I'm close to Claire, and it'll be cutting me apron string, really.
Yeah, that'll be another stage of the friendship, me going over and visiting them, and sort of, so the next chapter is just ready to start then.
Well, we've been married now for about 3 weeks, so of course, you know, we have to have kids. But no, everyone asks, you know, when are you having kids? Are you having kids? They both Kevin the day after our wedding. Are you having kids?
Little baby Claire&Kevin's. You know, that'll be so exciting. Can't wait till that happens. You know, and that'll be something else that, you know, Claire and I will share.
I know that at some point, we've obviously discussed this, we will want children, but we have to be at the right time in the right place, and that involves being in a home, in a place we consider to be home, in a country we want to live forever and ever. And that's
so many people have children early on in a marriage when they're still quite young, rather than appreciate, you know, that it's looking after kids and spending, you know, time with them, which really takes a lot out of it.
Yeah, it just depends on what you want, and that's fine. But we both love travelling, and we want to be a bit selfish, to be honest, and just selfish with each other in a sense, and then someday in the future, but not for a while.
Claire&Kevin will definitely be happy ever after. I think, you know, out of a lot of my friends that's got married, oh, definitely, you know, they're just brilliant together.
I think Claire&Kevin will define happy ever after. They will just grow and grow as a couple, and they've come on so much as a couple in the past 4 years, and I can't imagine what they'll be like in another 10 years.
I think that I can speak for both of us when I say that we will be happy. Happy ever after is kind of a fairy tale idea where it's going to be smooth. I don't think that's the case. Even the theme of our wedding is very much about, you know, there's going to be ups and downs, but I think ultimately we are both very happy.
They just have that spark, and I can't see it going anywhere. They're just a great couple.
You know, they just love each other so much. You can see that, and they're just so good together. Definitely will be happy ever after.
As long as you do as you're told.
As long as it isn't told. But that's one of the things. We have a really great sense of humour, and we have a lot of mechanisms that make sure that we are happy. So yeah, I think we will be.